Bank of New York. If you know the department name or full name of the person you are trying to reach, press 1. A variety of information is available on our website at www.newyorkfed.org. The following options will direct your call to frequently accessed services. Market rates, press 2. Tour information, press 3. Employment opportunities, press 4. Publications, press 5. Treasury Direct and Savings Bonds, press 6. For directions to the New York Fed, press 7. To hear these options again, press 8. To speak with a representative, press 0. If you have a rotary phone, remain on the line. Please hold while you are being transferred. Please be advised that your call may be monitored or recorded for quality assurance purposes.
This call is also recorded for quality purposes and monitored.
This is Justin speaking. How may I help you?
Hi. Can I ask a general question at this line?
Sure.
Okay. Is it true that the Federal Reserve Bank, in conjunction with the Treasury, is in control of the money supply?
Well, what do you mean by in control? So the FOMC meets to discuss. There are carefully calculated calculations that are done to determine how much money needs to be in circulation or should be in circulation, right?
So the government is in control of the money supply.
Well, the FOMC, yes. So it's partly the Federal Reserve and partly the Treasury. Well, there's the governors, several governors that are employed by the government, yes.
Right.
And then there are 5 Reserve Bank presidents.
Okay. So now, so that means I have no control over supplying any money, unless I work for the money and there's evidence that I have money or I've claimed to have money.
I'm not sure what you mean by you have no control over it.
Well, I'm not authorized by the government to print it or to issue it.
Right, that's for sure. That's an act of Congress, right?
So I can't produce money.
That's correct.
And now I'm in a situation where I don't work for money because I serve God. And so whatever labor I do and contribute to the community, I do it for the love of God. So I don't do what I do for a paycheck.
Okay.
However, I'm working for a hospital in the city called Beth Israel, and they're required by law to issue a paycheck. But I
think I've spoken with you before, actually.
Yeah, so I'm required by Scripture to work freely. So I've opened an account in the hopes that maybe the Fed or the Treasury can access that account, allowing for a return of those funds. And I've informed the banker that I have no intention on drawing on that account or drawing from Washington or drawing from the Fed or the Treasury or drawing from the economy.
Right. So it sounds to me like you probably want to donate those funds.
Well, it's not my funds in the first place to donate, because we just established that I didn't create it. I'm not the source of it, and I'm not authorized to do that.
Well, then it sounds like you want to be a volunteer, in which case you wouldn't receive a paycheck.
Right. Well, I guess they could perceive it as that, but I'm just doing God's work, and I guess whoever would benefit from that would be society as a whole.
Right.
And
I'm not sure that you're able to return your. That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that you'd be able to just turn your paycheck back over to the because that money is not coming directly from the Treasury or from the Federal Reserve. It's coming from your employer.
Well, the employer got it from somewhere, and if the employer has a printing press and a mint, then the employer got it from somewhere.
But that money's already in circulation. I mean, you'd have to return it to your employer.
But it's in circulation as an outstanding United States obligation. And all those bills must be eventually circulated back to the issuer for cancellation, right?
And when they're no longer fit for circulation, they're replaced. That's right.
Right. But
in order to keep the money supply intact.
But all money is created with the intention to circulate.
Right.
So it means return back to the source eventually. Right. So
if we need to contract the money supply, in some cases, sure.
Yeah, but it's not within the government's best interest that people hoard the money.
Well, no, that's correct.
Right. So now, it is within the government's best interest, and they would prefer rather that everybody would work for free. But I guess that's not in some people's interest. Some people are interested in profiting off of certain things, but not me. So now, when I go into a store and I need certain things to survive, like food, clothing, and shelter, they're expecting notes from the Federal Reserve Bank, from me, which is 100% presumption. And now I understand based on the facts now we just established that I am not under an obligation to work for money, Federal Reserve notes, and I'm not under an obligation to give it if I don't have it. Shouldn't there be a way for, because the vendor has a right to the money and I have a right to survive and to the food and the water and clothing and heat and things like that. So I'm trying to communicate with several different people, including but not limited to the Federal Reserve Bank, concerning this situation.
What you were talking about, though, that's not. It sounds like you need to be talking to like Congress or at the very least the Treasury.
Well, I spoke to the Treasury and they told me just go to pay.gov and there I can have those checks directly sent to the Treasury is the one who set up the pay.gov system.
And that's to help pay down a national debt.
Right.
I think I have heard of that.
Right. So this is what would happen if people actually gave their time and energy for free and gave all their checks to the government. This would eventually pay down the debt. So I'm doing my part in paying down the debt. So I figured that the government would have some sort of respect for what I'm doing.
Okay, right, but that's the government. So, but you're speaking to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. That's why I think that you're probably better off speaking to your congressman.
But it's not Congress's money because it doesn't say United States notes. It says Federal Reserve notes.
Right, but we just act as distributors.
Right, but
what you're not talking. What you're talking about is the law regarding the sale of goods and services. That's something that the Federal Reserve is involved in. And
the U.S. is indebted to the Fed because the Fed loans out on interest. With interest, right?
No, not to the government.
The government doesn't.
The government gets its money through, selling treasuries and through taxpayers.
Oh, okay. So the Fed does not loan money to the government.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay, so because I just watched the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis video on YouTube. And I could have swore they said that they loan out some money to the government. I know the government gets money through taxation and other sources, but I thought that.
But no, as far as somewhere we don't. Whether or not we can is a different story. That's probably something in the Federal Reserve Act that says that would be handled by the Board of Governors in Washington D.C. But we don't actively engage in that. No. So
it's a bank, but it doesn't loan money.
No, not. Well, we do. We do loan money to banks.
Right.
But generally speaking, those are short-term and fully collateralized loans.
Okay.
For banks to meet their reserve requirements.
So does the United States have a bank that it uses to borrow money from the Federal Reserve?
Well, so the Treasury has an account here.
Right. Okay. I understand. So, but the thing is that all the money all these, all the currency, in the M1 the paper currency is Federal Reserve property, correct?
Well, that's
The Federal Reserve notes are property of the Federal Reserve. Those pieces of paper, they belong to the Federal Reserve.
right. Let's see what I have here on that. And I have actually information.
All right.
I could probably find a quick answer to that. Can I put you on for a moment?
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
If it's not my property, then it's not my bank account. And not my documents used to open that account.
I think rolling.
Yes.
All right. So, again, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, they print the money, and they incur the cost of printing that money. So, it's kind of a hard question to answer, and I'm being told to direct you to the BAP for that.
Oh. Well, I'm operating under the assumption because the title space on the money, like a title space on a writing or a composition or something, has Federal Reserve Bank in the title space. And there are two signatures on the currency, and one is a member of the Federal Reserve and one is the member of the U.S. Treasury.
Right. It's because we distribute it, and then it'll tell you which district distributes it, so you know which district it comes from. Because
I see that, the federal on the YouTube video for the Fed Bank of St. Louis I see that the bank has these giant vaults with the money that was printed by the BDP. I mean,
that's not necessarily true. So a lot of the money and the cash vaults are from the deposits that our banks that have accounts with us keep on hand with us.
Okay.
They keep in our vault. So that's not all money that's been sent to us by the BEP.
Okay. So the Federal Reserve note, as opposed to the United States note or a regular bank note, the Federal Reserve note is basically owned or issued by the Federal Reserve Bank, because it's a Federal Reserve note, right?
It's unfortunately I don't know for sure who to say exactly owns the currency. I'm being directed to ask you to call the BEP. They should be able to have some information on that for you.
Okay. Well, does the Federal Reserve Bank own any currency at all?
Well, what do you mean own? So actually, so the Federal Reserve is a non-profit institution, we're quasi-governmental. So any surplus that we have, we turn over to the Treasury to help pay down the national debt.
Right. I'm just trying to understand, like, I'm just trying to understand how this thing works, and just,
right.
Not to be a person ignorant concerning how money works. So, the Federal Reserve note, because a note is evidence of a debt, which is supposedly a promise to pay.
Right.
But the phrase Federal Reserve note is it the Federal Reserve promise to pay? Is that what it's saying? Is that the Federal Reserve promises to pay?
That I really don't know, to be honest. I mean, because we actually don't design the money. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing does. So I think anything pertaining to what's printed on a note should be directed towards the BEP.
All right.
They would be able to give you, I would assume, a definitive answer as to why it does that.
All right. I'll give them a call then. But thanks a lot for being patient with me, and thanks for the information.
You're very welcome.
We appreciate it. You too.
Bye.
All right, so next we're going to call the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. So they're the ones that write all this stuff, put all this stuff on the money, so they should be able to explain everything. And so off we go.